Okay, so we are back again, and I have not covered something that's pretty important so far, and that is, if you can see them, dice. They're useful because sometimes we have to make rolls to see how well our characters do at doing something. Sometimes it's, how well did I make a shield? How well did I hit a person with my sword? Different things like that, and that's what the dice are used for. They come in a lot of different designs, colors, etc., and because of that, they make themselves very collectible. And I'm also going to explain to you what all of them are. They also come in a bunch of different shapes and a different number of sides for each of them, because sometimes you want to know if something has a 1 in 100 chance of happening, or if something has a 1 in 4 chance of happening, and that's why we have different dice. So, you can see, I'm going to go around to the other side of this camera, so I can see what you see. This is called a D4. Oops. Hold on one second. This is also called a D4. Now you can see that both of these are the same shape, but if I'm dexterity, I have enough blah, 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 blah. They're read a little bit differently. Now how you read both of these is, the blue one on the left is a little bit easier to read in my opinion, because you just read the one on top, and then that's the number that you roll. For these kind, which are still pretty common, the red kind on the right, you would be reading the 3. So on both of these, what's common between them, you read the number that's standing straight up, pretty much. Let me introduce you to the next one as I shift all of these between my hands. This is a very common one. This is a D6. If you played any games before at all, you should be familiar with this one. This one's see-through, and that's why I like it. Also, with the notation of all dice, we will have a D, and then however many sides the die has. So, this next one has 8 sides, so it would be called a D8. Let me move this around for you in my hands, because it's a little bit hard to distinguish between a D8 and a D10, and I'm going to bring that one up next to show you why. Because this one has the triangular faces. And the D10s also have triangular-ish faces, but the triangles are stretched out a little bit longer, and that's how you can tell the difference. The D8s are going to have the regular triangle faces. Okay, so I have 2 kinds of D10s in my hand. Sometimes you'll be rolling these together, sometimes you'll just roll this one. Almost never will you only roll this one. You'll usually be rolling just this one, or both of them together. For this one, you have 1 through 9, but you also have a 0 on this face. The 0 usually means 10, and not actually 0. So if I roll what looks like a 0, it's a little bit hard to move these things around. So if I roll this 0 thing, that's actually a 10. Now on the other one, which has both the tens digit and then a 0 for the ones digit, this just means a 0. So when you add them together for, like, say, a percentile roll, that's what it's called, when you're rolling these together, you would roll both of these together, and say I'm rolling a 5 and then a 60. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So I roll a 60 and a 5. That would be a 65. Say I roll a 90 and a 0. That would be 100, because the zeros are always 10s. It's a little bit important to clarify that. This is a D12, and it is hardly ever used, but you should still have one. It's got 12 sides. And this is kind of the most infamous one, a D20. This obviously has 20 sides, and it's the one you're usually in most tabletop games are going to be rolling the most. So that is dice.